This is Blade Method Mindset, episode 35, with Corey Allen and me, Chris Trainer. Hello, Corey.
Hello, Chris.
Welcome back.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's been like 2 weeks off?
Almost.
We had some time off. Well, not really time off, but
Lots of travel.
Lots of travel. Yeah, had some traveling. Back at it now with a little recap.
And a big thing was that we had some sound issues going on.
Yeah.
With the podcast. We know, guys, that the last couple episodes we delivered some less than quality podcasts with material. The sound, but it looks like we figured it out.
Yeah, it was fixed. I left everything.
We didn't podcast for 2 weeks, and we came back, and it was fixed.
And everything fixed, so I don't know what happened. I guess if you just leave it unplugged long enough, it'll just magically fix itself.
Yeah.
So all the things Mikey told me to do and like sent me like links of stuff, Mikey, I didn't do any of that.
Yeah.
But it's fixed. So maybe just by you sending that stuff, it helped.
Yep. Perfect. Well, hopefully when we get done with this, it sounds crisp and clear, and we're back to the normal signing podcast. But first, we got to recap our first trip and why we've been off so long. Is we were at Youth Nationals.
Well, first you found your wedding ring.
I did. I found my wedding ring
this morning,
which is unbelievable because the toiletry bag that I found it in, I took to Youth Nationals and I took to the WheelWOD Games in Canada, and never opened the particular pocket that this ring
the wedding
was
ring
in.
Because you lost it like 3 months ago.
At Masters Nationals in March.
Yeah, so a while ago.
And rehashing why I lost it is I went down to the training hall to lift that night. Before I went down to the training hall, I put it in my toiletry bag, went to lift, thought that I must have put it in my bag because we went to dinner after I lifted, we all lifted, and went to dinner, and then got back to the hotel room and was looking for it in my gym bag, and thought, because I normally take it off when I start lifting and put it in my gym bag.
Pocket, yeah. Well, then you say you're like, I remember that we ran across the street.
Well, we were running, and my pocket was open.
Yeah, and it must have
because I'd taken my wallet out, and so I thought it popped out there. So
gone forever.
Claire bought me a brand new wedding ring, and it's actually at the it came. I had to get it resized, sent it back to Kansas. So the guy that we get our jewelry, it's so weird when I say that. Our jewelry. I've gotten one piece of jewelry in my entire life, and that's my wedding ring. But we got her ring and my ring from a great family friend, from a guy named Rich Yakel, who is a good family friend. He owns Mark's Jewelers in downtown Lawrence, and he has been working with Claire and got me the exact ring that we had, that this one is, and now we're going to send it back. I think Claire's sending it back.
Right, so. We appreciate it, but we don't actually need that ring
which
anymore.
Is a bummer.
Sorry, dude.
But
if it's you can size it for somebody else. It'll be okay.
Yeah. So.
Anyways, found the ring.
Yeah.
Youth Nationals.
Yeah. How'd you like it?
It was awesome, man. It was a lot. I mean, more kids, more lifters, fast paced, but it was so much fun. Like, I can only imagine, obviously like our kids did great and they were competitive, but like I can only imagine how it would be having, when Ruskin's there with like counting cards in between, stuff like that. Like some of the heavier weight classes and some of the older kids, like when those cards started getting and you knew that like they were going back and forth for the total. That was fun. Like, it was crazy back there. It's so much more than just going out and hitting a lift and then coming back. Like there's so much more that went into it. And
what people don't understand is the majority of a weightlifting meet happens behind the curtains.
Yeah, in that back room, like it was nuts. Like people running all over the place and like trying just the little things, like trying to find a platform to warm up on. Like we grabbed a barbell and had some kid that wasn't lifting yet. We're like, stand here, don't move. Like this is our platform and you're not going to go anywhere.
Guard this plate and this bar with your life.
Because like you have to find, a training bar for like a 5 kilo bar for the kids and some 2.5 kilo plates. And it's like, all right, where are we going to get these plates? People are bringing their own full equipment trolleys in there, and they're like, can we maybe use some of those? And like, you don't ask to borrow anyone else's stuff. So
the local clubs in California are able to bring their own stuff.
So
which really shouldn't have to happen. Like, but USA Weightlifting does a great job, and Rogue does a great job of outfitting it. There is tons of equipment, but it's just so many kids. Like it was. And then, there was just tons of people there. But from start to finish, it was awesome. Like weighing in with the kids,
doing training hall the night before, having them lift, like it was a really, really cool experience. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And they did great.
They did awesome. So Noah was the first one to lift in the lightest weight class. And
he started his day weighing in a little rough with didn't have his ID. Norm had to grab it and stuff. So, but got that all situated.
Which, Norm's always on top of this stuff. He couldn't believe that happened, but yeah.
Yeah, when they asked him, like, they're like, state ID, and I see Norm's face, and I was like, I've never seen Norm look like that. Yeah. Something's wrong. He doesn't have it.
Yeah. So just to get Noah to be able to lift, Mike Kaminsky had to break into Norm's house, get the birth certificate, take a picture of it, shoot it to Norm, and show it to the official. And Noah was actually able to lift, but it was real close there for a little bit. And I wasn't going to bring that up. Corey brought it up, so he
posted about it, it was common knowledge. He made it open knowledge on Facebook, so.
Yeah, and so Noah comes out, does 2 for 3 on the snatch. He had to keep following himself, and I know that he probably would have hit that third one if he would have had just a little bit more time. But when you follow yourself for 3 lifts in a row out there, it's a little difficult to stay on point and on track. But it's just so much adrenaline and so much excitement. So 2 for 3 on the snatch, and then hit his first clean and jerk, went for a PR on the second one, and unfortunately he just held onto the bar a little bit long when it was going over behind his head, and ended up pulling him a little awkwardly, and he tweaked his back a little bit or just got a little scared, and we didn't take the third lift because that was just the thing to do at that point, but still got a total at a national meet, tied his PR total, and he's 10 years old or 11 years old, but just a sweet kid and so awesome to watch that little foot stomp that he does.
And he was like, just before he goes up there, like you could tell that he's just been watching, everyone lift and watching his brother and sister compete. Like he's all the way into it. And so that was super fun to watch him going out there.
And he's such a smart kid. Like, he does those Rubik's Cubes.
Well, and he knows exactly. Like he'll count the numbers for you. He's like, 16 and this and that. I was like, whoa.
He's real good at
count
counting
that up
the barbell.
for me one more time, dude. Slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
So he went, and then we had Royce come up and have his first. I think this is Royce's third weightlifting meet ever. So, and little did we know that he's in his. He's in his own class for his age group. They broke the age group classes, so we didn't know that going in. And he ended up silvering. He took silver in his total, silver in his snatch, and bronze in his clean and jerk. But
what that happened was they lifted the U13 all in one
session,
44 kilo class.
Yeah.
And then when the awards came out at the end, they gave awards for U13 and U11, and Royce was U11. Yeah. And so he ended up taking second place in the nation for U11 44 kilogram.
Yeah.
Which was so awesome. Unfortunately, we missed the podium in that announcement on that, and that's our fault. We should have known that he was U11 and getting those, and I'll take responsibility for that. But it was nonetheless an awesome accomplishment, and he's such a stud.
Yeah. And he's just like, the kid is just a thug. Like he's a lot of fun to coach. Like we went out there and we found out they were giving medals for 6 for 6. Ended up being 5 for 6. So we like,
they gave a bracelet and a medal for 6 for 6.
A bracelet and a medal. We're like, dude, all right, like we're gonna get that medal. Like let's hit 3 good lifts. So he snatched, he hit all 3 of his snatches, he PR'd his snatch, and then we go and we hit 2 clean and jerks. The second one was a little bit shaky on the stand-up, and we're like in the back room wondering what we're going to jump him to, and we go, we really want that 6 for 6. Like, let's get that 6 for 6. So I think what did he hit previously? Like 31. And we're like, all right, we'll go like 32 or 33. Like, that's what Chris and I are thinking in the back. And we go up to Royce, and we're like, all right, dude, like, we want to hit this third lift. Like, how you feeling? He's like, 34.
Which would be a PR.
Yeah, which would be a PR. Like, he knew the whole time. He was like, 34, put it on the bar. I'm going to hit that. I was like...
He's like Ruskin in that way. Like, just supremely confident.
Oh, yeah, he was like, put it on there.
I'll hit whatever, put it on the bar.
And so we put 34 on there, and he went out there and smacked it, and so bumped his total up a little bit more and was able to take home silver. So it was awesome. And then Ava just is, she's an awesome lifter also. Like, just she wants to go out there and just do her best. She doesn't look at anybody else, doesn't care what anyone else is lifting. And, she definitely will lift a lot more going forward,
And she's just like her mom. Like, she makes a friend, and then, like, it's the girl before her going, and she's like, go get him, Michelle.
Yeah, I know. I was like, sit down and just
stop cheering for her.
Stop cheering for people. Yeah, she was like, Michelle, you got it. I was like, first off, who is Michelle?
Yeah.
And she comes back. I was like, Ava, you need to focus on your own lift.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, she just PR'd her clean and jerk. I was like, okay, I'm proud of her, but I really need you to focus here.
Which is awesome, which is kind of, that doesn't happen a lot in weightlifting. Like, the people, you're cordial, but
it's so
they're all competitors, and in the back of people's minds, no matter what they're thinking,
they want everyone to miss.
They want you to miss. And you want people to do well, and if they're not right next to you, but if you're directly competing, which Ava was in the B class, like, it's not like she was in A class in the top 3 going for a national championship, which there was just studly girls. 12-year-old, 45-kilo girls
that are just crazy strong.
I mean, Ava is insanely strong for her size and age, and then there was just
level
other girls.
of just starting.
But she just started. Those girls have been lifting, most of them that were at that level for several years, but nonetheless, you don't see people cheering for each other like that. That's just not the culture, you know. But Ava, bless her heart, she's just a sweet girl, and I think she gets that from her mom, of just that overabundant positivity.
Yeah, just wants everyone to do a great job, and
which is awesome. I'll take that out over someone that scowls and is negative all day long.
Oh yeah, for sure. So she did great. I mean, she was just happy to be there. I mean, the one of the coolest parts was just watching her and her brother, like, just do that together. They were, Royce was, like, screaming his head off in the stands for Ava. Ava was screaming for Royce. They would sit in the warm-up area together, talk to each other between lifts. Like, that was really cool to watch them two just kind of get to share that together. So it was good. It was a really, really fun experience. And Royce got his medals the other day in the gym, so
we got a little
mock podium for him, put him on a box, and gave him his medals. So he was super excited about that.
Yeah, and you learned a lot.
Learned a lot, man. Like I told you, I don't know how we had that meet at Blade, and there was like whatever we had 10 lifters or something, all the female lifters that are right around the same class, and I was like, dude, I don't know how you do this. Like, you don't even have to. You have it all in your head, and what to lift, when to lift, and so it was. Most
people don't have it. Most people write it down. Yeah. For some reason, I'm just able to calculate and keep everyone's stuff in my head. It's just something that I do.
Yeah, I mean, I was
most
like,
people should write it down.
I was like, I need a piece of paper. There's no way I could do that. But yeah, it was cool to see how you looked at the board and the numbers and the cards, and kind of walked me through what was happening and how long to take between lifts, and because you don't really
how to count them.
Like, it's you just think it's like, okay, they lift, and then it's your turn, and then you just go through it. But it's like attempts, and then if one person jumps and you kind of haven't, like, I was like, well, she's gonna go in 6, and you're like, well, no, like, all 3 of those girls are gonna bump weight, so she's got another 10 lifts before you go. It's like, well, so it's just,
and one bumping her 1 kilo can change 6 minutes.
Exactly. I'm like, you gotta hit that warm up. You're like, cool out. Let's let her sit down. She's got 30 minutes before she lifts.
Yeah.
So it was cool. I mean, I was super blessed to be there, happy to be there. It was an awesome experience. So cool. We had a good old time.
Yeah. Awesome.
Rusk was there too, so that was fun having him back there.
Yeah, he's a assistant coach.
Assistant coach. And you could tell, like, all he wanted to do was lift.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
He just wanted to lift when he was back
super
there.
salty about those 6x6 medals too.
Oh, I know. He was like, they get a medal for 6x6?
Yeah, because Ruskin, bless his heart, he's never gone 6x6 at any meet
ever
in our entire career. Like, he's won national youth champion, university national champion, youth runner up, multiple year junior national lifter. He's never gone 6x6.
Yeah.
And so to hear that these kids are getting medals now for 6x6, he was like, man, they're soft.
Yeah.
He was like, they're getting kids medals now for going
6x6.
He's like, I'm all for it, but come on.
Yeah. He was like, You go 6 for 6, you get a medal, but you don't even lift any numbers. Like, what's the point?
and then when he found out that it was 5 for 6,
then he
was super salty about that.
He was like, it's a participation participation ribbon.
Which, listen, going 6 for 6 at a national meet's a big deal. I didn't go 6 for 6 at Masters. Like, that's hard to do.
You should get a medal. Like, that was cool.
I think the bracelet's a really good thing. But at the same time, we want these kids to have a great experience and leave with a memory to make them come back and want to keep doing this sport, because it's not an easy sport to get involved with, because it's a solo sport for the most part. And you know, if you can get a medal and that propels you to go on to the next year and stick with it, I'm all for that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was good. I mean, you could tell that like the kids were excited when like some of those kids, you know, just tiny little bitty things would come off and they would get their little bracelet and get their medal. Like, you know, it was cool. They were excited about it, and there were some strong kids there.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. So, but yeah, all around good times. And then we drove home from that, and you booked it out to Canada with Amy a few days after that, huh? WheelWOD Games. How was that?
It was amazing. Amy finished second in the world as the second fittest seated impaired woman on the planet. Yeah. So super proud of her. It was an amazing experience. You know, the place that it was at was really hard to get to. It was called Collingwood, Ontario, about an hour and a half outside of Toronto. So you fly into Toronto and drive to this small ski town, which was just absolutely beautiful. I mean, you wouldn't want to have a competition anywhere else, kind of all on the water.
Yeah, it looked pretty.
Where we were staying was in this cool little ski village, and so it was a picturesque setting, just a little difficult to get to. So not everyone made the competition. It was, you know, it costs a lot of money to get out there and do that whole thing. And so, you know, it was a few less participants in the competition, but the people who were there were legit competitors, and it was definitely a fierce competition the entire time.
Yeah.
So
how was it seeing Amy swim?
That was, I'll start tearing up just thinking about it. You know, it was a awesome experience. I put out that post, you know, like I've seen Michael Jordan shoot a free throw. You know, that was live, not on TV. Mark McGuire, I saw him tie Babe Ruth hitting a home run. I've seen Tiger Woods, you know, hit long putts and drive golf balls. Just the best in the world at their sport. And Amy was the best in the world at her sport. And to see her swim was a privilege. You know, it was really good. And you know, it was figuring out it on the fly. You know, it was supposed to be in open water, then it was in the pool, and to
go back and forth like that.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out how. I mean, she just looks so, like, the thing that I'll always notice about Amy is that she's just always like the whole time she was out there, like she was just happy. It seemed like, at least, right? Like she was just smiling every time anyone would post anything. Like she's super grateful just to be able to do that. Like, and it's crazy. Someone who was the best in the world at what they did, and, you know, had this terrible accident happen to them, and she can still be so grateful that she's just out there. Like, she's genuinely happy to be doing what she's doing. Like,
no doubt.
Doesn't hold a heavy heart on it. Like, she just wants to go out there and compete. Like, that's the coolest part about her, that she's able to stay confident in those things and, like, stay positive. And it was, like, it's awesome to watch her.
But don't get me, it wasn't just getting in the pool. Like, it wasn't easy.
Oh, no.
Because she told me one time, that's the only time I don't feel like myself.
Right.
Is in the water, because she was the best. And now it's learning how to do that.
Do it again. Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine. Like,
so that's really, really frustrating. And it took a lot of courage to get out there and then to compete against someone that wasn't as paralyzed as her.
She was, right?
Not even paralyzed. That could actually use her legs on the swim. But she just went out there and did it and fought, and it was awesome. So, and that was just day one, you know. I mean, there was we could literally, and maybe we'll have Amy back on when she comes back, but you know, 13 events. And the first 2 days were at his name's Stouty. He's kind of the founder of WheelWOD, at his gym in Collingwood, and then the next 2 days were at the UG Games out of this park in this island. It was a lot bigger and really cool. So 13 events. I mean, it was no joke. It was definitely a legitimate test.
Yeah, that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot of competing
That's the
across
CrossFit Games.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's what this was to find the fittest in their respective adaptation. So it definitely did that. The frustrating part is, and this is not the girl's fault.
Right.
This is the division that she was told to compete in because she couldn't compete in regular CrossFit because of her injury. But she didn't have a spinal cord injury.
Right.
She had a hip injury that she had to use the wheelchair, but could still get up on crutches, still use her legs, had full function of her core. Which is just a completely, like you said, like nothing, like she did what they told her to show up and work out. Like, and she was awesome.
But like that's just it's nowhere near on the same field as what Amy has to do. Like it, you know.
And then so for Amy to go out and win workouts and do that, and the other girls that were also that had spinal cord injuries, because the other two girls did, and so again. That's no fault of hers, but at the same time, it was a little bit frustrating with certain movements, that she just weren't. She's had a little bit of an advantage on, but again, we don't want to harp on that too much. But Amy, for being, a T11 paraplegic, it was amazing,
crazy,
and just it brings tears to your eyes. It really does.
Yeah, unbelievable what she's able to do, and how she's able to hold herself out there like that. I mean, she's a rock star. She's the best.
And then we got to give credit to Natasha.
Yeah, going out there. She was the, what would you call, WheelWOD assistant? What was she?
What does Amy call her?
Yeah,
what is she
What
called?
is her title? What is, she's like an assistant.
She's the wheel person.
Wheel person.
Is one.
Yeah.
There's kids listening to this show, so I don't want to.
Okay, we won't call it whatever that
There's
was.
a joke.
Yeah, I'm sure that there is.
Behind the scenes that she's her wheel bitch.
Yeah.
And so that's obviously a joke. But
But I was like, man, it's like Tasha's getting a workout out there. Like, she's got to keep up with.
She was a stud the entire weekend, and everything. She was just on top of it, on point the whole time. And there was one workout that I had to go out there for the lifting, the bench, and the clean and jerk, just because I knew exactly what weight she needed to hit, how to load them, and just to try to communicate with Tasha and that. But it was so funny because Amy would be about to take her clean and jerk, and I'd be standing there right in front of her telling her to lift, and she'd be looking at me like, get your butt behind me and hold me. And I was like, just tell me, Amy, I'm not used to this. I was loading the plate and doing it, but that's the reason Tasha should have been out there, because Tasha would have been right behind her, stabilizing, no problem. But I was like an idiot, standing there watching her lift.
Let's go.
Yeah. And so, and thank goodness Amy didn't yell at me in front of her, which she would have had every right to just, Chris, get behind me. But, so little instances like that, that's why she was out there, is because they'd been practicing together, and she just knew exactly how to do it in every situation. So great job this weekend, Natasha. And those two together are they're so funny.
They're a hoot to be around.
I could tell stories again for the whole episode, but they're hilarious.
So you've coached sanctionals, we'll call them now. You've coached at regionals for individuals and teams. You've coached at masters and youth and junior national meets, weightlifting meets. How did this differ? I mean, same basic thing, same idea, same going into it, or was it different?
It's a little bit tougher in that, only Amy can feel certain things about, I can do a movement where an able-bodied person can do and know basically how it's going to feel the exact same way. So figuring out how to do movements, it was awesome to have. There was Jedediah Nelson, who was super helpful because he knows, he's been competing for a while. He knows how certain things are going to feel. He's way better of a person to give Amy a tip on a workout on the ins and outs of a certain movement of how to get things done. I'm a strength and conditioning coach. I know how to program and how to, get people from one point in fitness to the next point in fitness. But the actual movement of the body and how to do certain things is something that only Amy can feel or someone else that's in her position. So definitely harder, but no less fun or no less passionate. And, I'm screaming my head off the entire time.
Yeah.
You know, just like I am for anybody else. And it's like, you know, Claire competing individually at regionals, like I'm a nut job.
Yeah.
You know, and I bring it in a little bit more for everybody else. But like when Amy was hitting that clean and jerk, you know, to hit her double and hit a PR at 80 pounds, like I was screaming.
Yeah.
You know, just going nuts, wanting her to hit it so bad.
Yeah.
And she, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be a huge, you know, learning curve just for, you know, to coach something that you've never, like you said, just something you've never had to experience before. Like you know, you coach weightlifting, you coach CrossFit, you're a weightlifter and you're also a CrossFit. Like, you know what those movements feel like. You can, you know, everyone's a little different how they adapt to movements and how movements treat them, but you still have it, like you said, a general idea, like, yeah, that's going to be hard. You should probably slow down a little bit right there, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, going for Amy, it's
Which
like
that stuff carries over.
Yeah.
You know, like the pacing, you know, certain things like that stuff carries over. But there was a movement that probably the highlight of her weekend was there was a chipper that was started off with a 15 cal ski, went on to an 80-foot wheelie where she had to balance on her wheels and drag a sled. Jeez. So 40 feet down, 40 feet back, and went into 60 wall balls, 30 dumbbell snatches, 20 hand to plate. We're in a prone position. And then 10 med ball over bench, floor transfer to bench, over the bench to the other side, and then
back
get the
over.
med ball back over, which that's the one I Instagram lived. Like, she'd never been able to do that before ever. She's never done a floor transfer over a bench. And she did it 10 times. And in warm up, it was really hard to figure out exactly how to do it, you know, and we went from in the warm up trying to figure it out and getting tips here and there to being like, oh man, this is going to be really tough, to her just getting on there, having a difficulty in the first minute, figuring it out, and then smashing 10 of them.
Yeah.
And it was like, that's life-changing. If you can get yourself from the floor to a bench, those are life skills for a T11 paraplegic, and that's something that she couldn't do and can do, and was a huge win. Yeah. I'm sure she'll remember that workout and that moment for the rest of her life.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You know, so, yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, and we were like, we won't, you know, probably won't go back to this next year just because it's so far away and so hard to get to, but it's such a cool town and such a cool place, and that ski village is so pretty, like, who knows?
Yeah.
If it's there again next year, you know what will happen. So I think she can definitely be the fittest in the world as a seated athlete. So if that's what she wants to keep doing, then
yeah. And who's to say where it'll go from here and stuff like that. So
that's the thing, is like, it's, you know, it's in its infancy, you know, this sport. It's like Aromas in 2007 and 2008, you know, the brand new of the CrossFit Games. Like, hopefully in 2025 it's in a stadium,
Games,
at the CrossFit Games, in the stadium, like, you know, it's 10,000 people watching and
side by side with everybody else. Yeah.
That's the goal. And for an athlete like Amy, with the notoriety that she has, to be able to participate in that's only going to help. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm sure, like, you know, she has a huge following and things like that, like that. Hopefully it sheds more light on the sport, and, you know, it gets some more circulation around it, and hopefully can get some more people that want to try to come in and do it. So
exactly.
It'll be good.
They just need an outlet.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
you know, and CrossFit Blade can provide that. You know, we know how to do it now, and we're open.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sweet.
All right. Well, one thing I did notice on this trip that kind of occurred to me, that something that we needed to touch on, was that sometimes people go to the grocery store and they don't really pay attention to what they're buying. And
I thought you meant our trip. I was like, Ruskin knew what he was buying.
Oh, yeah.
Ruskin bought milkshake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The WheelWOD trip. Got it.
Yeah, when you're 19 years old and you got the metabolism like Ruskin, then you don't really think about the 700 calorie macchiato frozen caramel
We're in line
milkshake
in
that you're buying.
Starbucks, and I was like getting our I was like, all right, just, you know, 2 black coffees, and Ruskin
Americano, no cream.
Ruskin like had to go to the bathroom. He's like, hey, can you order me that? I was like, yeah, what do you want? He's like, a grande caramel frappuccino with extra whip. And I said, no.
You're going to order that on your own.
I'm not ordering that. I go, did you hear what he said? She goes, yeah, okay, then he'll have that, but don't say that out loud.
Yeah. And then everything else.
Yeah, what can you do?
Yeah. IHOP is... yeah. But, no, this was in Canada that, Amy and Natasha went grocery shopping, and they bought peanut butter, but they just didn't look at the peanut butter. Peanut butter is peanut butter, and a lot of people don't make that. They just buy peanut butter.
Yeah.
And
I can see that.
In this particular peanut butter, there happened to be some hydrogenated vegetable oil, which anytime you see that on a label, hydrogenated oil is man-made fat. It's pretty much the worst thing that you could ingest. It's directly linked to hypertension, cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, and all these things that we see are like high fructose corn syrup and hydrogenated oil. And those two things together are just
bad.
Pretty much cancer-producing nightmares.
Right.
So, and that's, listen, I'm not a doctor. These are things I read, by people way smarter than me that do the studies and publish the information. So this isn't me saying that.
Thanks, yeah.
But so anyways, a lot of people, and I see this all the time, and I see it when people bring stuff to the gym for like potlucks. Like if we had that pancake potluck for the
Find Your Tribe.
Yep. And people bought syrup, which is awesome. Thank you for bringing the syrup. But a lot of the syrup that was brought was just colored high fructose corn syrup.
Right.
Caramel colored high fructose corn syrup, maybe a couple other gnarly ingredients, and it's not maple syrup.
Right.
It just tastes like maple syrup. But it costs about a fifth or a tenth of the price to produce. And so when you're at the grocery store, when you're buying things that you think are just everyday, purchases that, hey, that's cheaper than that, I'm going to buy that. It's 3 times the size. It costs half as much as that. There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
So, people have families, people are on a budget, but at the same time, you don't want to feed your family and your kids things that we know are harmful for them.
Right.
And those are things like hydrogenated vegetable oils. We know that those cause problems in human beings, definitely in rats. But we're seeing it that the people that eat those foods have major health issues, lifestyle health issues that are completely preventable. So when you're out there at the grocery store and you are buying foods, there's foods out there that aren't super expensive and organic that don't necessarily cost an arm and a leg, that don't have those high fructose corn syrups and the hydrogenated oil in them. And you just have to look.
Right.
You have to take 2 seconds to look at the back of the label. Read, it's usually going to be in the first 2 or 3 ingredients because that's the majority of what the product's made out of. And say, hey, I'm not going to buy that. I'm going to buy this one. And it's in everything. Your steak sauce, your ketchup. Basically, anything that needs sugar added to it is going to be added with a really cheap form of sugar that, corn can't be digested by the human body. And so fructose in its pure form, fructose of an apple has to be digested by the liver. Glucose bypasses the liver, goes straight to the small intestine, which is why it's higher glycemic. It can produce a faster blood sugar response in the body, insulin response from the pancreas. Glucose does. Right. That's why people say, well, eat fruit. It's got a lower glycemic response depending on the fruit. A blueberry is different than a mango, but it's going to produce a slower effect of blood sugaring the body, but your liver has to work to digest that. Right? So if your liver is working to digest fructose, and it's working through some gnarly man-made fats, that's bad.
Okay.
When your liver is digesting fructose, because it has to break down fructose that is made out of corn that can't be digested anyway.
Right.
The liver doesn't want to digest corn anyways. Now it's digesting sugar made out of corn. It's bad. Right. Your liver has to work really, really hard. It doesn't know how to process it. It wants to take the nutrients out of it. It's getting the signals, hey, I can take this, but I'm trying to break through it, and it's just your liver's in overdrive.
Right.
And then you give it another foreign substance like a man-made fat or even alcohol or something like that, and it's compounding effect of what can happen to the liver. So just wanted to end this episode with a little
science experiment,
and just for people to be cognizant of what they're buying out there, that there's easy ways
between things. Like all peanut butters are not the same.
Mm-hmm.
All syrups are not the same,
and with a little bit of looking and taking a little bit more time rather than just absentmindedly grabbing something, you can make a big
difference,
change in your health.
Right? Yeah. No, that makes sense. I mean, I think it's the easiest thing to do is just look at the size and the price tag. Like that's bigger, it's cheaper. I'll take that.
Well, and that Jif tastes good.
Yeah, it does.
It does. Like that's the thing is hydrogenated oil peanut butter.
It tastes better.
It tastes good. I mean, unless you don't eat it all the time and then you eat real food, sometimes you can go back and it tastes fake or it doesn't taste as good. But most of the time you're like, oh man, that's grubbing. Like
that's way better.
Give me that white bread, that white bread.
Smucker's jelly.
Yeah, Smucker's jelly and some Jif peanut butter. I mean, talk about an insulin bomb.
Yeah.
Something that is just going to wreak havoc on your metabolism. That's it. But, not to come down on anybody.
Yeah.
Just wanted to provide a little bit of information on that.
Just some knowledge. Because if if you aren't, someone who reads up a lot on nutrition and stuff like that, like you wouldn't know that. Like that's just something that people wouldn't think about,
99% of the population.
Like we say it all the time. Like, we'll go to yogis, after a training session, where we need a lot of carbs, and get a plate of rice and meat, and we usually don't get the sauce on it, but you'll see someone next to you on their lunch break getting the same exact thing, a full. It's like I think I went home and measured it one time because I took it to go and I wanted to know the numbers on it. It's like 12 ounces of rice. Like, it's a lot of rice.
It's 100 carbs.
Yeah, 100 grams of carbs.
100 grams of carbs.
Yeah. So and then plus that. And you put extra, you see people all the time, they want 2 sauces and they douse it in teriyaki sauce, which is just sugar. Mm-hmm. And then they wash it down with a Coke. Like that's, it's crazy how much, and you think that you ate chicken and rice and you're probably, you did pretty good that day. Like you didn't go and get a candy bar, but it's like, you did. It's pretty much the same thing. Yeah. So it's just
death at noon.
Yeah. It's just being a little bit more cognizant of the small things that you can do like that. And some people just wouldn't know, like if you didn't have any idea, you would think I ate rice and chicken and I did a good job today.
Chicken and rice. That's
you
hear that all the time.
Yeah. It's like, but how much did you eat?
Yeah.
You just ingested 100 grams of carbs 100 grams of carbs in one day. Like,
and that sauce at Yogi's is just pure
sugar.
I mean, it's good.
Exactly.
Again, and just to touch on that, like in what you're talking about with that 100 grams of rice, because we got to talk a little bit about this weekend. We had some nutrition conversations and just brought it up that it's always good to remind people. And I don't think we've talked a little bit of nutrition for a while. Yeah. So, when we say 100 grams of carbs or,
11 grams or 12 grams of rice.
Yeah. That means how many carbohydrates you're intaking in that meal.
Right.
So the problem with overconsumption of carbohydrates is that the human body stores carbohydrates in the muscles and in the liver, in the stored form of carbohydrate called glycogen that we store for energy. So blood glucose is our most readily form of energy. It's the gasoline for the human body. If we're going to snatch or run a 100-meter sprint, like that stuff, that's the fight or flight, the systemic energy system, that's glucose. Now, when we burn through that glucose, our body's first response is to dig into the liver and muscles and pull out glycogen. Mm-hmm. That's going to pull that into the blood, and your body's going to burn on that.
Right.
And now we're not talking about keto and people that are fat adapted, like their bodies have learned to use fat, but that's a whole other conversation about power output and stuff like that. So, not talking about that. Normal humans that consume carbohydrates are going to run on glucose, and then when that glucose burns out, which for a lot of people it never does during the day because they have an overconsumption, but say an athlete, someone comes to 7 a.m. CrossFit, and especially if they're training fasted, they're going to burn through their glucose, their body's going to pull out glycogen.
Right.
So now they've tapped into their stores. So what do they need to do? most people are going to refill those stores.
Mm-hmm.
They maybe have a post-workout shake of a banana and 20 grams of whey protein. 30 grams of carbs post-workout, maybe they tapped into 50 grams of glycogen. So the average human body is going to store anywhere from 100 to 200 grams of glycogen. So that banana replaced 30 grams of theirs. So now they're at 20 grams. They still got 20 grams of storage.
Yeah.
So then, on the way to work, maybe they stop, or no, hopefully they're just getting normal coffee, but there's coffees that have 20 grams of carbs, certainly. So maybe their next snack is, an apple and some almonds before lunch.
Right.
Healthy,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's a great snack to have. But guess what? That apple also had 30 grams of carbs.
Yeah.
So now you've completely replenished your carb stores that you tapped into.
Mm-hmm.
So you're good.
Yeah, you should be
You're
set.
full.
Yeah.
Right? You're full of carbs. Now, you're going to burn through energy for the remainder of the day. You're up for another 12 hours. You're active. You're running around the office. Your brain's thinking. Like, you're going to be burning through. So, just because you've refilled your stores doesn't mean you're not going to burn energy. But you go out to lunch now, and now you have the yogis. Now you have the 100 grams of carbs at lunch.
Right.
100 grams over your storage capacity now. And your body is going to have a massive insulin response from that. And so it wants to carry those carbohydrates into the liver and into the muscles. And you only got 10 grams of storage left.
Right.
So it stores a little bit and it's burning some. Your body's burning some as it's digesting. But say overall, net gain, you've got 50 grams net gain of extra carbs.
Yeah.
The only other storage unit your body has is body fat. The fat cell.
Right.
So you do that, and then at night you go home and have whatever.
Mm-hmm. A normal meal.
But say it's fairly healthy. Chickpea penne pasta and chicken.
Yeah.
Not bad, but 85 to 100 grams of carbs again, right?
Right.
Not necessarily unhealthy. It's a good, healthy choice, but you're in an overstock. And so what's happening is people are always above their carb stores.
Right.
And they're never tapping into their carb stores enough to have a constant replenishing.
Yeah.
They're always most likely in an abundance, and that's where long-term body fat storage goes. So I kind of rambled on that with a little bit. I wanted to slow it down and really dial that home of why that's the process. Why people seemingly think that they're eating healthy, which by and large they are maybe, but at the same time they're in a carbohydrate surplus.
Yeah, and even just to make it, if the way that it works doesn't make sense, just to make it simple as, so in the height of regional season when we're training, me personally, I am 185 to 190 pounds during season, training 4 to 5 hours when we're, right before regional. So ramped up as high volume as we can be. My carb intake, carb alone is usually around 330 to 350. Like that's kind of where I felt really good during that much training. So just look at that. And, if I'm in the gym 5 hours a day, plus I'm coaching, so I'm walking around another 1.5 miles a day as that is. If you are someone who doesn't work out at all, smaller than me, sits at a cubicle at work, and you're eating more carbohydrates in your day than I am, you can see that that's probably an issue, right?
Yeah.
Like you need to look at it as, if I think that that's too much and that's not as much as I'm intaking with all the, exertion I'm putting my body through, your body's not doing anything with that, So
It's going to lead to some love handles.
Yeah, exactly. So if that kind of makes it easier of like, oh man, maybe I shouldn't be eating quite that much.
Yeah.
So.
Good.
Yep.
Good way to put it. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm glad we made it back finally. We have 2 guest possibilities for our next episode. Whichever one confirms first is the one that's going to be on. But we haven't had a guest on in a while, so really looking forward to that. We'll get that out coming on shortly this week. But really appreciate you guys listening. Sorry we've had so much time off, and sorry that
the sound quality, hopefully the sound quality, it looks like everything's all set and ready to go again, though. So thanks for just tuning in, guys, and
you can
for
find
sticking with us. iTunes, SoundCloud. YouTube. You can contact me, Corey at CrossFitBlade.com. Any questions, comments, concerns, please reach out. Or if you just want to let us know how you like the podcast.
Yeah. See you guys next time.
All right. See you later.